Game 1. Let's go. Let's see what we're up to. I'll try to explain what little I know of the Minecraft units to you guys, because I know some of you are just regular Tooth and Tail players. So let's check it out. The skins here are all done by this guy, aka Lucas Nikis. So thank you. These are awesome looking. You can see the units up there. We're looking at Studios, who is running Zombie, Stray. I'm going to read them in order here. Zombie, Stray, Pillager, Phantom, Villager, and Wolf. These are all tier 1 units, and I'll explain what they're like. Be careful with speeding up your plays. Thank you, yeah. Zombie is like a mole. It's very similar to moles, but not proxy. Obviously, there's a couple other stat differences, but that's like general gist is a non-proxy mole. They're very strong right now. Strays are like squirrels, but they also deal a small amount of daze, which is like a slow effect on units, which is nice. Pillagers are also like squirrels. So these two are both squirrel-likes. Pillagers have a slightly longer range, whereas strays are more equal to squirrels in range, but they have the daze. So that's kind of the main difference. These are like the new crows. They're almost identical to the new crows, which are a flying tier 1 melee unit that kind of has agile and it dips down and attacks. Scales very well. This one also, the Phantom, has proxy, so very nice. Wolf, I'm going to skip Villager is like a pigeon, but it walks. It's like a super OP pigeon, but they don't fly, they walk instead, and they can heal buildings and warrens and mills and stuff in addition to units, so they're like, it's like a good pigeon. Walking pigeon. Wolf is a fast unit like a lizard, but it's melee. It's like the spider in this game as well. Those are both lizard-likes, melee lizard-likes. They're swift, and they get more swift when they take damage. They buff. Oh, by the way, cabins are actually super beefy in this. Hey, thanks for the sub, Shrieks. I appreciate it. Yeah, the cabins are actually beefy in this mod. Yeah, wolves, they're like lizards, but they buff when they take damage. They move faster and stuff. When structures die, they pop out little silverfish, which are like a neutral thing, so that makes them even more deadly. Friendly ones do that too. If you kill a warren, it'll actually drop a few silverfish, which is an interesting defense mechanic. Alright, so we've talked about Studios units here. Kaiseris is going with strays and villagers, and then slimes. Slimes are a tier 2 unit. This, I don't actually remember which one this is. Lucas, help. Which unit is that? Is that... I don't remember. Wither is a tier 3. It's like a badger, but does AoE and poison and shit, but it revs up like a badger, and it flies. Illusioner. Okay, so the Illusioner is a tier 2 that, it spawns clones of itself, and all of it, the clones and the main guy, like, all shoot. So it's like a self-replicating thing, and you have to find and kill the original clone to kill it. So I don't know, it's weird and cool. It's like a grounded falcon, but it spawns clones on attacking. Yeah. The slimes here, they split on death. They do melee damage, and they have a lot of health, and they split on death into smaller slimes, so they're very good at tanking. So this is the tank, this is the damage dealer, and this is the healer. For Studios, he's got the tank is the zombie, and then the damage dealer is the nice mix of these two. So let's see. Kaiseris is moving forward here. Slimes are pretty scary. It's a tier 2 unit. Hopefully that kind of explains all of these units. There's a lot, man. There's more units in the Tooth and Tail mod or in the Minecraft mod than there are in vanilla Tooth and Tail. And the balance effort is ongoing. So it's actually a really well-made, a lot of effort put into this mod. I should add Dr. Disrespect song too. Lindana, you want to remind me of that? I want to be careful with not having too long of a snippet because DMCA, but if I can find a little clip, I'll do it. Remind me to look up this, I'll find a clip of this little song. Alright, Studios is getting some villagers of its own. Villagers are really strong right now, so it's pretty meta to just add them into your comp. Again, they can heal units, but they can also heal buildings and pigs, or, well, obviously pigs, but like warrens and mills and stuff. Oh yeah, no worries, Lindana, thank you. Studios is using his mass tier 1 to try to expand a little bit, and now there we see the proxy phantoms. Phantoms scale well, starting at about 9 of them, so if he can get a good number of them, he's going to just roll right through Kaiseris. Kaiseris is trying to get the Wither, and it's just now paid for, so this is like a perfect anti-tier 3 timing, just like vanilla, but a little spicier. Think of it this way, in MC Mod, everything is overpowered. Kind of like Brood War, I guess. See the little silverfish that popped out there? So it's actually helpful defending. Zombies do hella crit structure damage, and they just do insane damage as well. So the slimes are melting. The phantoms do all finally go down, though, and the slimes are more than enough to actually push Studios back. He didn't have enough to do, and now the Wither's going to come out. So Kaiser's held, and now he's going to just absolutely just win the game in a counter push. I guess Studios had more than enough units. That explosion, by the way, happens when the Wither pops out, just like when the Wither spawns in-game. So let's see this brutal unit. Hey, thanks for that link, Shrieks. Let's see how this unit revs up. It'll shoot like explosion poison balls, and it revs up. It's pretty crazy. I feel like the rev is actually a little bit overpowered, but it's an interesting feature, that's why it's there. Also, very much unlike the Wither in actual Minecraft, the rev is silly, but it's fine, it's cool. He's got villagers to keep it alive, and it did some damage, and it's going to back up. It only has a couple of health points, but just like a badger, you can kind of kite back for a while. The Wither combos really nicely with slimes because the slimes can kind of tank for it, and he's just going to chew right through, and Studios taps out. Kaiseris takes game 1. That all came down to the tier 3 timing, and Studios tried to do a timing attack, and it didn't work out. He didn't have the right composition for it, I suppose. Let's go to game 2. All right, Studios in the bottom and Kaiseris up a point in the top, and it looks like Kaiseris sticking with the same deck. It's a strong Wither deck. I'd like to see the Illusioner. Let's see how that looks. Studios swapping it up a little bit. He's got the Zombie Stray Villager base. It's a very meta 3 tier 1 base. He's got slimes as well. He's got, is that a Vindicator? Lucas, the Vindicator is like a melee. It's like a super tanky melee, like a cam, but also revs. It's like a cam that revs up an attack and isn't invisible. And then what is that third thing? Is that a raid? Oh, teamfight tactics. Got it. It looks like a raid, right? The last thing on this one here. Spider Jockey. Okay. That's kind of a chaotic profile pick there. I think it might need an update. If Studios sees this, Studios, that looks confusing. Can you maybe adjust that? I guess I see the spider down there, but there's like some chaos up here, that yellow stripe, and the bow, I guess. I don't know, maybe a zoom out? Anyway. By the way, the stream timing is perfect for me. Awesome, good. I'll try to do a few more of these. My work schedule is going to be all over the place, so I'm wanting to get back into more streaming. I'm planning on 2 streams per week of Tooth and Tail. One is the general off-season stuff, and that's going to be on Sunday afternoon at about this time, actually. In about a half hour on Sunday. I'll be streaming some championship matches. They're the off season, so it's not super insane, but we've got some of each level. I've got a couple of premier players, I've got a couple of beginner players, and a couple of patch test players to cast some games of on. Those will be best of 5s on Sunday. So tune in about this time in 2 days. And then tomorrow night tomorrow night, a little bit later after I get off work, I'm going to be streaming some of the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order playthrough that I'm doing. I've just started this week, so we'll see. All right, we've got the Vindicators out. You see they raise up their axes when they're charging for the attack. Nice, nicely done there. Here's the Illusioners. You can kind of see him just standing there menacingly. He will, I think he uses a bow, and he'll pop out his bow, and then a bunch of clones will pop out. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 or what. Here we go. Studios does have a couple of villagers, which is nice, whereas Kaiseris has extra strays, but he also has these Illusioners. See, spawning, 4 of them. Wow. And they don't last very long, but you can kind of see them popping out there. It's pretty interesting and tanky. The Vindicators need to get on top of their targets and stay there for a bit to wind up. They just die instantly. I don't think Vindicators are that great against the Illusioners. I think Illusioners to be a pretty solid counter to Vindicators. And you can see the Slimes are still doing great, and Kaiseris is just smashing face right now. Vindicator overall right now is pretty poor, except maybe super large army size. Okay, yeah, Lucas, I think Vindicator got a bit of a nerf lately and just feels a little bit underwhelming. But specifically, regardless of the current state of nerfs and things, it seems like, in concept, Illusioners are a pretty solid counter to Vindicators, even if Vindicators were good. And there goes the Wither, and Studios is going to have to decide what he wants to do. Maybe a Spider Jockey? There it is. I like the idea of Vindicators. I think the wind-up might be a little too slow, like the rate that it winds up or the point at which it starts winding up, because they're usually dead at that point. But at the same time, if the wind-up was too fast, then they'd just brutalize Warrens, so I guess I see why it's not higher. Maybe just a little more health so that they can last longer in order to get their wind-up? Takes 4 seconds. I guess it's not that long. Yeah, maybe a little bit of a health buff on the Vindicator might just do the trick. Wither Skeleton. I actually haven't seen Wither Skeleton hardly at all, so I don't know. I guess they're pretty comparable units. Whereas the Wither Skeleton, does Wither Skeleton have invisible? Wither Skeleton is also swift, but it might also be. I like the explosion and the Wither spawning. That's kind of cool. I don't know. The Wither Skeleton might also be less tanky. Should have lower health. All right. Spider Jockey is out. He's a handsome-looking dude there with the skull on the side of the spider. I just don't see the Spider Jockey actually doing enough against the Illusioners. Maybe. You know what? He's actually kind of chewing everything up. Oh, no, and then he takes too much damage from the Wither. Yeah, all right. I was waiting for that. There's too much left over. Kaiseris is going to take it. Wither is good right now. I think Wither definitely could use some tuning back. It's one of the best tier 3s. The rev is just too much. Maybe the max rev speed is like too high on the Wither. Because when it gets done, it's just like pours out stuff. I think Studios has a plan for how to nerf it down though. So we'll see what he has in mind. Studios is actively working on this and constantly making little adjustments and some big reworks here and there to try to bring things into balance. And the more people that play it, the better more information he can get. It's a bit of a spicy mod, a lot less stable, even by design, less of a kind of a stable game than the vanilla. which is fine. It's spicy. Like I said, everything seems overpowered, and that's kind of the point. All right, thanks for stopping by, Shrieks. Good luck. I hope you enjoy the games. Don't lose your owls. And put your warrens close to your pigs, dang it. GG's. If it's the one stretch you're playing against, he's pretty strong too. He's up there, so watch out. Studio's going for the expansion. He's playing with his mass tier 1 here, but this time he's got snow golems thrown into here. So let me talk about the snow golem. This irritating piece of snow is it's like a kiting unit. It can shoot while moving, and it's a ranged unit. It throws snowballs at a very fast pace. It doesn't do that much damage, but the fact that it can shoot while moving means you can put pressure on, and then while you're retreating, you're still doing that full damage. So it's really hard to chase it down. Also, it does crit damage to air units, but the main deal here, so it can be a counter to the Wither maybe, but the main deal here is you can kite with it because it has agile and it can shoot while retreating, which is really nice, really powerful sometimes. Ideally, it makes up for that in not being that strong of a fighter, so you have to be ahead a bit to use it, or have a combination with it that, like Snow Golem Creeper, for example, in concept should be very strong, because if you hard commit onto it, the Creeper will get value, and if you don't hard commit, the Snow Golem will get value. I like Creepers, I just don't like Snow Golems enough to try the combo, but it should work. Especially with the Creeper buff coming up. I don't think Creepers need a buff at all. I'm actually pretty happy with where they're at, but I think they're getting one anyway, and we'll see. You don't know about Snow Golems plus Creepers? I mean, it's just an idea on paper. I haven't actually seen if that works in actuality. It's possible that there's a couple of pretty strong counters to it. Something long-ranged, like a Pillager composition, would probably do pretty decently against Snow Golem Creeper because they can start dealing damage from a further distance and kind of almost kite back. I don't know. I do like Pillagers. They're getting a slight buff as well, which I can't complain about. Alright, Studios is getting up his Mass Snow Golem along with some Strays to slow down your opponent, which is a good combo. Stray Snow Golem works. Pillagers for their longer range. And Zombies for a bit of tankiness and extreme DPS. If your opponent actually gets on top of your army, the Zombies will not only tank to defend, but also do a pretty crazy DPS of their own. So this has got a lot of potential, this comp. It's very well-rounded, and adding some villagers at the end here is as well. The only problem here is that the snow golems are going to melt in the water. They actually take stacks of poison upon entering water, so getting the snow golems across this area is going to be tricky, and I'm not sure if Studios... Maybe he thought it was worth it, but he might... He's going to need either more villagers, or maybe he just didn't think it through, because he's using a snow unit across a giant water lake, so maybe that wasn't such a good idea. No, he's doubling down. He's doubling down. He's getting more villagers, but he's just going to eat the damage, I guess. And the Wither is out. Oh, the Wither is going to do so well against this Mass Tier 1. Look at how stacked up in one clump all of these, like, dozens of units is. The Wither is just going to smash face here, man. Even if the Wither was nerfed, this is literally what it's built for, is countering Mass Tier 1. So, Studios, when you see this, take this with a grain of salt. I know we all know Wither needs a nerf, but, like, you're literally... I know that... And you also say that Snow Golem is supposed to counter air units. Hogwash. The Wither doesn't count. Like, you can't actually get to it, and it's dealing so much damage back to you. I mean, the Snow Golems help because the Wither has to stay back, but, like, the Wither outperforms because it's doing the AoE. Oh, he was trying to see? Okay, so he does actually kill. The Snow Golems get underneath the Wither and immediately snap its neck. That was a snap of my fingers, by the way, sorry. So... Oh my gosh, I might have to eat my words. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Snow Golems was testing. He was testing the Snow Golems, and They did their job. The Wither did a lot of damage, but the Snow Golems did save him. And maybe that's why he had them. He wasn't going to try to attack across the water with the Snow Golems. He was using them defensively against a Wither. Alright, I take it back. The Wither did its damage, though, because it killed the expansion. It was definitely worth it. So, you know what? No, I don't take it back. I think the Wither was definitely worth it anyway, so the Snow Golems were not enough. I'm not complaining, by the way. I don't think Snow Golems should directly counter Wither, because it's a Mass Tier 1, right? Wither should counter Mass Tier 1. I think Snow Golems should have some counterplay to Wither, but I don't think it should be a hard counter. It's more like a soft counter. Regardless, Kaiseris is just going to go Mass Stray here, which if you corner the Snow Golems, the Mass Stray will absolutely win. Alright, and here's the deal. You don't want to kite, you just want to go in and kill. Studios has a lot of zombies, though. Alright, and the Snow Golems are not dealing enough damage. The Strays just continue to rain down arrows. The Snow Golems go down, and Kaiseris takes game 3. Studios with a very tier 1 heavy style, and Kaiseris just has the answers. Also Wither good.